President Putin has threatened nuclear war if he doesn't get his way with Ukraine by killing all the Ukrainians and destroying as much of it want. A nuclear war would be tactical nuclear weapons. Those of people who were in civil defense in the 1950s, 60s, 70s until the breakup of the USSR. When the USSR broke up, civil defense as it was, training for a nuclear disaster, basically all disbanded, and then they become emergency service for floods and high winds and hurricanes and things like that. But before that, they were trained on what's going to happen if a nuclear weapon goes off at 10,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 1,000 feet, or lands on the level. They also were trained on tactical nuclear weapons, how they work. A tactical nuclear weapon can be placed in the ground and is there to make a crater. Marshalling yards for the railroads, clover leaves, industrial buildings, chemical plants in this case. Literally, they could level a building just by the shock wave. They don't have to even be placed next to the building. Well, they don't have to be placed in the building. They could be next to the building. The shock wave with a tactical nuclear weapon, which is anywhere from 0.01 kiloton, 0.01 kiloton to sometimes 1 kiloton, 2 kilotons, 3 kilotons. Could be a tactical nuclear weapon that's been placed in the ground. A tactical nuclear weapon going off at surface, that thing can dig a small crater, throw up a lot of radioactive dust, but is used to knock over buildings or protesters in the street. Think about that. They're capable of producing large amount of overpressures. To say what, basically 45 pounds of square inch overpressure on a human body, the person will be crushed. Period. 25 pounds of overpressure on the human body and the chest will cave in. 5 pounds of overpressure on the human body and the person will have a lot of big headaches, will rattle his brain. 5 pounds per square inch, and you can basically hit a person with debris and kill them. 1 pound of anything hitting a person will do major damage to the person's organs, chest, and shatter the brain. Mm-hmm. So, a tactical nuclear weapons, it depends on what the target will be. If it's being dropped in the heart of a city, you would considering a tactical nuclear weapon going off is overpressure. Let's say it's 1/10, 0.01 of a kiloton. Going off in the middle of the square, well, we'll break all the windows. A lot cheaper to send in a conventional warhead, but we'll break that thing. Well, yeah, what was the other one about the difference between a chemical explosion, like TNT, and a nuclear explosion, is that pounds per square inch is 1,000-fold or 10,000-fold on a pound of TNT. The difference between a pound of TNT and setting off a blast and a nuclear explosion is 10,000-fold. Yeah. And The reason they of setting off a nuclear explosion is simple. You set it, you run like hell. Or you set it off remotely. You bury a nuclear bomb in the ground. Let's say, I think it's 3-4 meters down. And what it will do is produce a crater X number hundreds of feet across and take up all the debris and throw it up in the air. Bigger the yield, more damage it can do, and more rock it will throw up. It's not very good in sand, not very good in water. What's the effect is there? It produces a shock wave. If you're going to drop it in the middle of a Ukrainian city, which hasn't been totally destroyed by conventional explosives, you'll basically crumble some of the buildings around it. That's all. If it is Kyiv, if it's the middle of Ukraine, a major city that hasn't been attacked much, it will do major damage. It will basically tear off the front of all the buildings around that explosive. It will basically vaporize a certain area of the crater, or maybe the whole area around that thing, since the buildings are basically around the explosion, and it will shear off the front of all the buildings and possibly topple all the buildings. Thermal radiation is instantaneously. Nuclear radiation is, depending the yield, which can be, if they're using a bunch of tactical nuclear weapons going off ground level, you can see a bunch of mushroom clouds going off. Great for starting forest fires. Tactical nuclear weapon placed in the ground. You destroy clover leaves, marshalling yards. You can weaken dams with them, or actually destroy a dam. But the big problem is in Ukraine is there you got 15 active nuclear power plants, and a miscalculation of your nuclear weapon, and if you damage any of those plants, a overpressure on those plants can crush this shell, and now you've got a major radioactive leak, which is pretty deadly considering that Chernobyl will contaminate parts of Russia, and if all 15 of them are destroyed because of Putin, a lot of Russia is going to be contaminated, as well as other European countries. The problem with Putin is that he has 38 nuclear power plants in Russia that are actively going, including one outside of Moscow. So if he starts a tactical nuclear weapon, you don't have to drop a megaton bomb on Moscow. You just blow a couple of nuclear power plants and the radiation cloud will cover the place. Oh, isn't he, today's the 7th, 8th, Monday, he's going to be celebrating the May 9th. May 9th, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, May 9th. It could be a very hot time for Putin. Oh, yes. I bet he has security there. Well, he's going to be standing outside giving a great speech about the glories of Russia and their latest campaign against the Nazi Ukrainians. Oh? And that Nazi leader in Ukraine. Right, Putin. Yes, sir, you are really, really into it. But again, they ever so often he and his little thing. Now, one of the, I guess, representative of Putin has made a thing. We will never use nuclear weapons. Oh yeah? Well, I'm quite sure one day you said, we will never become an empire again. We're over that. Right. We're not aggressive. We're very peaceful. We only attack military target. I got some pictures of a playground being blown up. Well, that says a lot for the Russians, yes. Yes, okay. But if it's a nuclear war Putin wants, he has 38 nuclear power plants that are targeted. Oh, good. Well, it's all symbolic anyway. He has 200,000 men in Ukraine. And the Ukrainians have what again? They completely that thing. Hopefully they will be able to sink a few more Russian ships. That would hopefully. Maybe convince Putin that abandon everything that's in Ukraine before the war there goes into Russia, which is just across, Oh well. At least I think I got my Geiger counter somewhere. I think I still have a Geiger counter. Oh well.